energy update for energetically sensitives, empaths, and anybody else who would like to learn more about energy awareness and self-care. My name is Yona Brindis. I'm a professional energy healer and energy coach, and this is what I do, these weekly energy updates and then the weekly energy tips that I publish on my Patreon channel are just sort of a side effect of doing energy sessions. How are you guys? This next week that is coming in, Sunday, will come in with a big bang, if you will. So we will feel a big shift. So however you're feeling right now might not be how you are going to feel next week. If you are on Facebook, then you see the energy barometer here. This is sort of an intensity gauge for us that helps us to, it's not a prediction. Like I've said, it's more of reports. Most of you energetically sensitives, empaths, are actually kind of feeling stuff already. All right. So one of the big things that I'm seeing here for this next week, just by judging, what I see here in my practice, is that you're going to feel very nervous. You're going to feel, your system is going to feel very electric almost. Okay. So for most of you this next week, and perhaps for those of you who are already feeling this right now, it's going to be all about pacing and finding your own rhythm and really centering in, where you really get the strength, the power out of your own source. Okay, because there's a lot of stuff happening, and yeah, what can I say? I'm airing from Florida, guys. I mean, if I'm doing this live stream from a Starbucks next week, then it's because of the hurricane that we are expecting here Monday morning. So it will force us to deal with things, all right? And I want you to understand that while there's so much uncertainty and, fear and also anger and disappointment and so forth in the air right now, okay? And you turn on the news and it's all like sort of this next impending doom and gloom, and it really triggers the warrior in us, the part in us that could endlessly worry about how to anticipate the next thing and how to deal with the next crisis. This is real, guys, but just because this feeling is real doesn't mean that it's true, okay? So take myself here. I know this hurricane is coming. I have lived through many hurricanes. I know the devastation that it can do. I also know, that I have the skill set to deal with some of these things. How do I prepare for those kind of events without getting pulled into fear, without getting pulled into worrying? The main thing, and you can take this as an example here for how to deal with the energies of next week, is to focus on what is essential, what truly, truly matters to me, what matters to me the most. My kids, my pets, my loved ones, okay? So what is my main concern? My main concern is to keep them safe. So everything that I will do, that I will, sort of plan or whatever, will have this essential concern, my heart's desire, as priority. Everything else will be less important because I can, handle, getting delayed with the work that I'm doing, or needing to change sessions, or, coming too late to work or to school, or, having to walk to the grocery store, or having to use campfire to make espresso. I can handle all these things. But I don't want to deal with things that concern, the well-being or the health of my loved ones. So this is what I focus on. And of course, my own well-being. So here you can tell that by me talking about this in this way, that there's a part in me that is very resilient. Okay, so the way I am seeing this is that these outer events, all right, that these are things that I can, they will always have. I can't control them. There's nothing I can do about this. All right, all I can do is make sure that I know where my priorities are, and that I know that I'm in a good place to be able to handle this. Worst case scenario, I will have learned something new. I will have learned how to deal with a new adversity. And hopefully, after being done dealing with it, I have a good laugh about it and say, okay, now I have experienced this too. But this is really the part here, guys, that you need to understand about these outer energies coming in. And I'm checking on Facebook right now, on Instagram. Hello, everybody. I know I'm live. That's cool. Yes, and I see Canada already. Let me know what country you are watching from. Let me know how you guys are doing. These collective energies that I report about every week, they count for all of us here on this planet. All right, this is not something only for those who live in Florida. If you have other kind of crises, if you have other kind of events that are worrying you, then everything I just said can apply to you as well. So my job is to give you a little bit of a heads up and then perhaps empower you with how to deal this best. But the reason why I do this live is because I want to know from you guys how you are dealing. How are things going for you currently? What are some of these energetic sensations or feelings that you have? How does this compute? How do you metabolize this outer stress that is coming in, be it through actual events or just through an inner knowing? What do you do to calm yourself down? So, as you are thinking about how to share this, I'm going to go a little deeper here into week 36 for September the 1st till September the 7th. So, I already mentioned that there's going to be a shift here coming in after the weekend. And this shift will actually at first feel kind of cool because you're going to feel like a sort of an intense doingness. I got to do something. This is it. I mean, either because your conditions are no longer acceptable for you, or because you've just had it with being passive and sitting there and not doing anything. We all have different aptitudes. It's not always the same conclusion for everyone. So the survivor, thriver in us, all right, can actually see every challenge as something that makes us grow. But the warrior in us makes us fawn, makes us sort of cower down and give up. And in this next week, you're gonna feel a lot of this initial sort of energy wanting to do something, and then you got to be careful because what can happen here is that you get pulled into your automatisms, these automatisms or energetic habits, as I call them. When something unexpected happens, you go into your coping, into what your ego has used for almost as long as you live to deal with whatever the situations are. And this isn't always the best way. The reason why many of us keep having repetitive experiences in our lives, regardless of whether this is in, with money or with relationships or with, any of our life's choices, is because we have these unseen energetic habits, these things in us that we are not even aware of that start gripping when things get a little more challenging. Okay, now when do things get challenging? Obviously, a hurricane or tornado or earthquake could be regarded as challenge, but there can also be other challenges. For instance, if we go through a little bit of patch here with our relationship, if there's a lot of emotionality that needs to be metabolized, that you need to process, okay? Emotions, don't underestimate this, especially unexpressed emotions can really, really wear our energy system down more than anything. But, and this is related to another, also our unbound and undisciplined thinkingness can do this, all right? So our emotions and our thinkingness, they go hand in hand. But what most people underestimate, and this is a typical sort of problem with the spiritual journey, that we don't actually see our body as an integral part of the spiritual body. We think about soul self and healing and all these kind of things, and forget that our body really is sort of the foundation for all of this. Okay, so if you try to feel love when you haven't slept in 38 or 48 hours. All right, try to feel centered or calm when you are completely stressed out about finishing a project, or try to be empathetic or non-judgmental when somebody attacks you. All right, so these are all things, yeah, that it can play into how you perceive what is happening to you and how you perceive your reality. And what I said at the beginning here, that while this might feel very real, and most of that is actually real, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. True meaning that just because it appears that way, say if you're super, super tired, if you're grumpy, if you're like in a really sort of low place, everything looks darker, everything looks half, the glass half full. You tend to be more pessimistic, you tend to be less resourceful, you tend to be give up more easily. And when you feel really good, like if I get like 8 or 9 hours of sleep, I feel like $1,000,000. This is not anybody's fault. This is all based on my choice. And so the way my reality occurs to me, or uh, how it looks like to me, has a lot to do with how I take care of myself in the first place. So self-care, guys, is not just the sort of a buzzword. This has a lot to do with your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and energetic condition. Just because it feels real, or just because it actually to a degree is real, doesn't mean it's true. What is the deeper meaning of this? The deeper meaning of this is that you really have to step up and take responsibility for how you're perceiving things. If you see everything dark, if you see everything as helpless and pessimistic, all right, then this is a choice. This is a conscious choice. It's not necessarily true, all right? So, as energy workers, as energy aware people, okay, we need to learn how to bring this into balance, how to bring our perception in balance with this inner guidance, this feeling that comes from within. This is the only thing, guys, that can help us to pierce through outer deception and even inner deception. Most of you guys here in this next week will actually have a problem with the deception of your own ego mind and your own ego emotions. Mostly because you're going to be triggered by all these outer things to go into your inner warrior, not the warrior. Okay? The warrior in you, that's the survivor, that's the resilient part in you. That part feels like it can handle anything. Not necessarily invincibility or anything, but this is the part of me that was speaking to you here when I reported about the approaching hurricane here in Florida. So all this will lead to us growing into another level of humility and also respect for ourselves, and for our needs, and also for, sort of that everything in this world and all humans are really in the same boat. We all are going through these same cycles, guys. So, when it comes to like, devastation, say, because the banks are crashing, or the hurricane is going to blow the house away, or the trees are going to fall into the pool, or, all these things that can be dealt with, okay? But these things are things that can happen to anybody, and therefore my job is not to sit there and see the world as sort of self-centered and oh my God, I'm such a victim that this happens to me, and go into this anger or disappointment that comes with it, but to go into the part of me that says, okay, this is an opportunity to learn something. This is something that, just happens because it happens. It just is. And what can I learn from this now? How can I grow through this? All right. And the solution here for the next week, besides a few physical things that I would really like to remind you guys In the energy tips, I'm going to talk about this in a bit more detail, but there are some things in regards to slowing down, pacing things out, finding your own rhythm that you can physically support. Mindfulness, obviously, and conscious breathing are always parts of that. Those are the easiest things. Then comes water. Those are the free things in life. And then the next thing is really to make choices based on more inner calm, more inner peace. All right. So be the eye in the hurricane when it comes to sort of outer crisis approaching. And one of the physical tips that I have for you for next week, because you may feel this electric energy as sort of a soaring storm in you. And it may lead you to not being able to sleep. It may lead you to having, sort of allergies again, all kinds of autoimmune stuff I'm expecting for next week. But it can also make you just feel really, really, really tired. Okay, so my tip for you is lavender and chamomile as teas or infusion. They always work well. Aromatherapy, obviously, as well. And as an energetically sensitive and empath, I can strongly, strongly recommend you guys to look at your diet. You guys need more magnesium rich foods. Google magnesium rich foods. You are more likely to be depleted in magnesium, and this affects your neurotransmitters, this affects your mood, this affects the way you see yourself and the world. So take this seriously, guys. I'm not a fan of supplements. You know this if you've read the countless articles that I've written about, high vibratory diet, high vibratory lifestyle, and so forth. Try to get this through foods. And if you resort to supplements, then only resort to supplements that come or that are made from whole foods, concentrates, and so forth. All right. That's my tip for you here for dealing with the challenges next week. If you need next week, if you need to, or if you feel the need to change something, then my tip for you is change your daily routines into a more caring and more supporting lifestyle. Understand that you are not entitled here. We all come with challenges that this isn't all about you, okay? And that we are all in this together. Whether it's the planet, the weather changes, the economy, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't separate yourself out. This is what gets you into trouble, guys. All right, so you can only really find connection and this safety, this resilience from within if you actually see yourself more as part of a greater whole. All right, and sometimes it is our daily routines. Many of you tend to isolate a little bit. You know, this I've mentioned this on many occasions. I understand that it can be bombarding and that it can be exhausting to be surrounded by a lot of people. I get this. I have this too. But there's also a positive effect about being with other people, guys. Your neurotransmitters respond positively to just seeing other people, to just communicating with other people, to doing things together with other people. This is part of our divine nature. Okay, so when there is a crisis, when there are unexpected events, or when you have to deal with things, there's also other people there that can support you. And even just going through the same thing together can already help you to feel more in power. Okay. Now, when it comes here to the future, and we've talked quite a bit about this here in these past weeks, guys, I strongly recommend you guys to focus on where you are right now. If you are new to energy healing and energy awareness, then start with finding your center. Start with finding your heart connection. This is where it all starts. This is where you have access to a part of you that can actually provide you with inner guidance. So people like me, okay, who do this all day long, for decades already, the reason why we seem to be so positive all the time is not because it's fake. is because we trust in our inner guidance, we trust in our inner knowing. We know that when something unexpected happens, that we will get the right prompting to be at the right time, at the right place, to say the right thing at the right time. Okay, so this is the part here that differentiates pessimistic people from optimistic people. There's an opportunity here this coming week on, what is this, Tuesday at 5 p.m. in the afternoon here in Florida. So this is right after the hurricane. If you're in Europe, this is 11 p.m., 10 or 11 p.m. If you are in Australia, it's somewhere around noon. This is a free session to connect with your true self. This is where your journey starts, the Alpha and the Omega. And then we have something next week that I want to use as the giveaway this week. So every week here with the energy update, I do a giveaway. You can see this on your screen if you are on Facebook, namely 2 tickets to an upcoming conscious manifestation workshop. So these remote healing workshops that we do once a month, what the way we do this is that we all go together through, and we is like other energy coaches and other participants, through a energy process that is coded. And in this energy process, we are basically triggering, or sort of working with these parts of your energy that can help you to become more aware of the choices that you make on a daily basis, that then lead to the manifestations in the future. And then right afterwards, we meet to a live webinar and discuss everything that we experience during the session, what it means, how we can feel things, different sensations, energetic sensations, what they mean, different feelings, different thoughts that come up, different emotions, and so forth. So we discuss this, and we do sort of an educational event out of this, where we can share all these things together. This is my favorite format, actually. So I'm giving away 2 tickets for this. It's next Saturday, not this coming, but Saturday the 7th of January, at the end of week 36, from 1 to 4 p.m. And all you need to do is type in, "I want to live my true heart's desire." Type in, "I want to live my true heart's desire," and you can win a ticket to this remote healing webinar. You can do this from anywhere in the world, and you will be our guest. Sandy, over the past week, you've been extremely sensitive in your heart space to Gaia energy, to planetary energies, I assume. You felt the pain of the earth. Yes, this is a big issue for empaths and energetically sensitives. We can feel this heavy energy around, our environment, and all the sort of the bad news around this. I do want to tell you, Sandy, that while I can completely and entirely relate to this pain, this is something you do not need to worry about. This is something that the planet can handle, all right? We as humans are just tiny little specks in the history of this planet. And while it seems that we are devastating to the planet, it is something it can deal with. Do not worry about this. The divine nature is much, much stronger than the damage that we can do. Does this mean that we need to ignore all this? No, absolutely not. But it is more about our daily choices than anything else. It is, if you love the planet, if you love the animals and the plants here, and you see how it's all connected, and I'm not just talking to you, Sandy, I'm talking to all of you guys, because I know you have that pain. I can feel it too, but it's a seduction, okay? It's a distraction. The point is that you have to see yourself as part of the whole. You have to see yourself as part of divine nature and act accordingly every day. Every day, okay? You know the things that are not good for the environment. You know how you can, separate trash, how you can avoid packaging in the first place, how you can walk instead of drive, how you can take the train instead of flying, how you can work with more environmentally friendly cleaners, how you can avoid a medication. All these things, all right, they play into what damages the planet. Okay, yes, there are some bigger things, such as politicians wanting to nuke the atmosphere to avert a hurricane, that are not in our control, really. Okay, so and a lot more of these kind of ridiculous type of things. But if you want to support the planet, if you want to help the environment, then start with yourself and start connecting with plants. I've been saying this for years, guys. Use the power of plants in all ways, as food, as healing medicine, and as your connection with Gaia, with the planet. All right, this will provide you with this information that I just shared with you. There's a lot more that will come to you. You will also realize the power of water and how all of this is connected, and how you can really make a difference by changing your attitude towards it into an optimistic and positive attitude, not fake positivity. But if you work with the planet, if you communicate with the planet, all right, this strengthens the planet. It's your connection. Just like what I said about connecting with other people, it's the same thing. It's a win-win-win. All right. So does it make sense to become an activist and to go out? Yes, but most of us do not have the ability to discern if the organization or the people that we do it with, if they actually have an integrous agenda. I'll be honest with you. So if you feel like you need to help the planet, then help the planet by changing your consumerist behavior. But stop consuming the things that are damaging this planet. Because if we all start doing this, all right, the companies will have to change. Okay, if nobody's buying the crap anymore, all right, then they're gonna have to come up with environmentally friendly versions of it, and this has already been happening. I've done public lectures on this 30 years ago, guys, and I see the improvement. Okay, so keep going. Right? Do not worry. Do not be a worrier. Be a warrior. Okay. I hope this helped a little bit to calm this part down. Do not worry about the things that you cannot control. Take action with the things that you can control. And that then brings serenity in your life. This brings inner peace. Of course, there will always be bigger issues that you cannot resolve, right? But in order to find inner peace, you do not have to have the fix or the solution for everything. You're just going to have to believe in your heart and the divine power that resides in your heart, and be willing to surrender to that higher power. Yes. Thank you, Herbal Goddess, for pointing this out for everyone. Tuning into the heart, into your heart, connects us to the heart of Gaia. Ah, those are very wise words. Thank you for them. All right, guys, with these words, I would like to close here for week 36. I'm recording the energy tips now for the Patreon subscribers, the Heart Warriors, and the people that work with us directly here at Transcodes. Thank you so much for contributing. Thank you so much for coming. Please share the videos. Subscribe to my email list. There's always a written report every week for the energy updates, and of course articles about higher vibratory living. If you go on transcodes.com, the blog section, there's a whole tab about nutrition and a lot of these things that we talked about here. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.